In 2016, Cross River State ratified a task-shifting policy that covered a broad sweep of health services. Family planning, yes, but far beyond it too. So when a scale-up strategy workshop convened the following year, the team held a winning ticket with permission to scale almost anything. And here is what they did with it. They picked one thing, one intervention, contraceptive implant insertion, one cadre, community health extension workers. Everything else the policy permitted was left on the table deliberately. 2 years later, that narrow focus had trained 152 health workers across 76 facilities in all 18 local government areas and put a family planning budget line into the state budget. The discipline of choosing one thing when you have permission for 10 is recommendation 5. And in my experience, it is the hardest one in the entire BWEIM set. Not because it is complicated, because everything in how our sector works pushes against it. Recommendation 5 of BWEIM says, keep the innovation as simple as possible. The guide's reasoning is direct. Pilot projects tend to test a wide variety of interventions, and not all of them are essential to the outcome. But the simpler the intervention, the more easily it can be implemented in the future by an ordinary health system at ordinary staffing on an ordinary budget. So the guide asks for a specific act of discipline. Take every proposed component of your innovation and ask, is this essential? Could it be simplified? Could it be eliminated entirely? And do that at the design stage from the outset. Yes, some trimming can happen after the pilot ends, but a pilot that runs fat teaches you how the fat version performs. And the fat version is not the one anyone can afford to scale. Why do pilots bloat? Not because designers are foolish, because every incentive in the room points the same direction. The donor call rewards comprehensive proposals, so components get added to win the funding. Every stakeholder consultation adds a priority, because saying no in a room full of partners feels like conflict. Every technical advisor adds the element their discipline cares about. Nobody ever removes anything, because removal has a face attached to it, and addition just has a budget line. So the innovation grows by committee until the pilot is a bouquet. And pilots can carry bouquets because pilots have project staff, project vehicles, and project money. The health system that inherits it has none of those. Complexity is a cost the pilot hides and the system pays. The guide gives you 2 tests to run on every component. First, the essential test. Does the outcome actually depend on this? Not is it good practice? Not does it add value? Does the intended result fail without it? If not, it is a candidate for removal. Second, the capacity test. Does the complexity of the whole package match the real capacity of the organization that will implement it at scale? Not the pilot team, the inheriting institution, with its actual staffing, its actual budget, its actual systems. And the guide adds a warning most designers never think about. Check that your innovation's demands do not degrade the other services that depend on the same staff and the same system. An innovation that succeeds by cannibalizing the rest of the facility's work has not succeeded. It has moved the failure somewhere your evaluation isn't looking. Go back to Cross River, because the numbers you have heard all series were bought with this exact discipline. The temptation in 2017 was legitimate and enormous. The policy covered task shifting across broad service areas, and every one of them mattered to somebody in that workshop room. A comprehensive strategy would have looked more impressive in the report. Instead, the scale-up strategy put its initial focus on one measurable, trainable, supervisable thing: implant insertion by choose. That narrowness is what made the operation countable at all. One training package, one supply chain to secure, one supervision protocol, one certification on standard. When you hear 152 choose, 76 facilities, 18 LGAs, you are hearing what a health system can absorb when the thing being absorbed is simple enough to absorb. 10 interventions at a tenth of the depth would have produced a report, not a budget line. And here is my favorite detail from that whole experience, because almost nobody notices it. The 5-day workshop produced a consolidated scale-up strategy guide, thorough, harmonized, complete. And what did the resource team, the 30 members chaired by Honorable Ibo, actually work from month after month? A concise version they created themselves, focused on the most pressing areas, used to track progress and adjust strategy. Think about what that tells you. Even the document describing the scale-up was too heavy to operate at full weight, and the team instinctively did to their own strategy exactly what Recommendation 5 asks you to do to your innovation. Simplicity is not a design aesthetic. It is what survives contact with routine. Whatever cannot be carried in the ordinary rhythm of an ordinary institution gets put down, either deliberately at the design stage or silently in year 2. Now sharpen the lens one level, because the real complexity of an innovation is not the number of components. It is the number of dependencies each component drags behind it. Implants by choose sounds like one intervention. It depends on a training pipeline, a certification process, commodity security, so consumables are actually on the shelf, and supportive supervision so quality holds. The Cross River lessons learned are honest about exactly these pressure points. Supervision straining against limited funding and staffing. Commodity security named as a make or break condition, and an over-dependence on development partners to keep both running. Every component you add multiplies this dependency load, and the dependencies are where scale-ups quietly die. So when you run the essential test from Recommendation 5, do not count the components on the slide. Count the supply chains, the supervision structures, and the budget lines each one silently assumes. The objection, and it is a fair one: our problem is genuinely complex. A single simple intervention will not move the outcome. Simplifying means diluting impact. The guide's answer is not pretend the problem is simple, it is face. If achieving the goal really requires a complex set of interventions, introduce the components in stages, simplify each one down to its essential form, and only then test them together as a package. Sequence buys you what a bundle cannot. You learn which components carry the weight. The implementing organization builds capacity one layer at a time. And if something fails, you know what failed. And remember the capacity clause. Complexity is only permissible if the capacity to carry it either exists or is being deliberately built as part of the project. A complex innovation handed to an unprepared system is not ambition. It is a handover designed to fail politely. So Recommendation 5 is a discipline of subtraction in a sector that only knows how to add. Run the essential test on every component. Match the package to the real capacity of the institution that inherits it. Count dependencies, not bullet points. And when the problem is genuinely complex, face, don't bundle. In the next episode, Recommendation 6, testing the innovation in the variety of settings where it will actually be scaled up, because one flagship site proves far less than you think. Subscribe so you don't miss it. And be honest with me in the comments. In the program you know best, which component would fail the essential test today, and what is keeping it in the design?